Hey guys, this is SJ Football 16 and today I'll be revealing my predictions for week 18 of the Barclays Premier League season 2015 to 16. I'm going to start with an early game kickoff between Stoke City and Manchester United. Although Manchester United have been in quite bad form recently, I think they could improve their form from last week because they want to play well for Louis van Gaal, and also Stoke, they haven't exactly played that well recently. In all fairness, they lost to Crystal Palace as we saw last week, and I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't beat Man United either. So I'm gonna say it's going to be 3-1 to Manchester United, with the scorers being Ibrahim Afellay for Stoke City, and for Manchester United it's going to be Damian, Phil Jones, and Rojo. Now I'm going to go on to the game between Aston Villa and West Ham. Aston Villa are a side that are bottom of the Premier League at the moment and fighting for survival, and West Ham fighting for European football next season. I I think the score in this is going to be 3-2 to West Ham, because although Aston Villa have had awful form this season and West Ham have been playing well, West Ham haven't exactly been playing well been playing that well in recent games, and Aston Villa, they've improved their form a little bit after getting a draw away to Newcastle, and I think their form can improve by scoring 2 goals. So I think the scorers are going to be Rudy Gestede with 2 for Aston Villa, and I think the Alex Song, Carl Jenkinson, and Ogbonna are going to score for West Ham United. Now I'm going to move on to the game between Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. I think the score in this is going to be 2-2 actually, because Bournemouth, they've picked up really good results recently against Chelsea and Manchester United, and I think they could survive this season in all fairness. And Crystal Palace, although they're playing really well in the top half of the table, I think that I don't think they'll be able to beat Bournemouth because their form has been excellent so far this season. And Crystal Palace, they've played well, but they've only beaten like middle-ish teams. And although Bournemouth are like a mediocre team, I don't think that Palace will be able to beat them because their form is just brilliant. So I think the scorers are going to be Matt Ritchie and Stephen Ranty for Bournemouth, and I think Connor Wickham and Johan Cabaye is going to score for Crystal Palace. Now I'm going to go on to the game between Chelsea and Watford. On As we can see in the league table, both these teams are playing quite similar at the well. Watford are in the top half of the table, and Chelsea are in the bottom half of the table. It looks as if Chelsea are going for relegation this season, and Watford are playing for European football. However, I think Chelsea might just get the win because since sacking Mourinho, they've actually played that little bit better. I think the score is going to be 1-0, and I think the scorer is going to be Eden Hazard. And this is because I think Chelsea, they could they still have really good games to come, and there's still another second half of the season to go. So I think, and Watford, they haven't done that well against the big teams. They've lost to Manchester United. They've lost to Arsenal, and Chelsea. They could still be considered a threat without Mourinho, as we saw last week against Sunderland. Now I'm going to head over to the game between Liverpool and Leicester. Leicester have been in brilliant form all season this season, and Liverpool, since bringing in Klopp, they have improved. I think the score in this, you may be surprised by this, I'm going to say 2-1 to Liverpool. This because Leicester, they've had, they've been in really good form this season. However, I think their form could start to drop as they start to face the big teams. I think the scorers are going to be Jordan Ibe and James Milner for Liverpool, and I think the super striker Jamie Vardy is going to score for Leicester. Now I'm going to head over to the game between Man City and Sunderland. You may also be surprised by this, and I've said the score is actually going to be 0-0, I've said. This is because Sunderland, in some games, they've actually played quite well under Sam Allardyce, but in other games, they haven't played so well. However, I think this could be another game where they do quite well and manage to get a point against Man City. And Man City, we saw on Monday, they lost to Arsenal, and they didn't exactly play that well in that game, in all fairness. And I think that, and also, Vincent Kompany is still out, so that could easily be a barrier for them as well. So I'm going to say it's going to be 0-0 final score. Now I'm going to head over to the game between Swansea City and West Brom. Swansea, we know they've sacked Gary Monk, and West Brom, they've had quite a decent season this season. However, I think the score is actually going to be 1-0 to Swansea, because it seems as if since Alan Curtis has taken over the manager role of the club, I I think the performances have started to improve a bit, because they only lost by 1 goal to Man City, as you saw, and also they managed to get a point against West Ham, who are in the top half of the table at the moment, which is a brilliant result. So I think the score is going to be 1-0 to Swansea. The score is going to be England international John Joe Shelvey. Now I'm going to head over to the game between Tottenham Hotspur and Norwich City. I think the score in this is going to be 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, and I think the scorer is going to be Harry Kane, the super striker for England. This is because Norwich, they've had an okay season this season. Pretty much, they're in the place we'd expect them to be in at this stage of the season. And Tottenham, they're playing well in the top four at the moment. I'd be happy for them for a win at this stage of the season, because Norwich, they've actually picked up good results against the big teams. We saw them pick up a win against Manchester United. We saw them get a draw against Arsenal. We saw them get a draw against Liverpool as well. So I think it's only going to be 1-0 to Tottenham here, and the score is going to be Harry Kane. Now I'm going to head over to the 5:30 kickoff between Newcastle United and Everton. Newcastle, they've picked up quite good results recently, and I think they could pick up another good result. So I think it's going to be 2-1 to Newcastle, and I think the score is going to be Chancel and Mbemba with 2 for Newcastle United, and I think the Belgium international Kevin Morales is going to score for Everton today. Now, I'm going to head over to the game between Southampton and Arsenal, the first 7:45 kickoff on a Saturday, as it is Boxing Day. I think the score in this is going to be 1-0 to Arsenal. I think they're definitely going for the title this season, I'd say, and pushing on that bit, I think they could pick up another win away to Southampton. I think the scorer is going to be Joel Campbell, actually, because he's been in really good form this season, and since Alexis Sanchez has been out, he's actually played really well, because without Alexis Sanchez, we saw them pick up a win against Olympiacos and also against high-flying Manchester City. And he played really well in both of those games. And I can't see why he can't play well in this one and even get a goal. That's all from me for today. Don't forget to like this video if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel. And don't forget to comment on any changes you feel should be made. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. I'll see you guys next time.